Hello everyone and welcome back to CookieRunOvenBreak with Alsroy Galcone. This time around I'm going to show you finally the full version of the Specter of the Colossal Dragon Breakout map. By the time you watch this video, this has been changed into Sugar Tiara, and I do apologize if I kept this project for way too long than I would have liked because of the whole Grand Champions League thing. And also, the biggest challenge of making this video, it's not about the Grand Champions League, it's about the stuff that I want to say in this video. Not because I have no idea what I'm about to say, but pretty much because in the previous video of this particular breakout map, I've pretty much said everything that you need to know about this particular breakout map. So yeah, it took me a long time just to figure out what is the things that I'm supposed to say in this video, and finally I got enough idea and put it onto a brand new script. So yeah, so I do apologize if I made it way too long, then yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, if you do like this kind of video, then be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell so you will not miss out on anything that I put on this channel. Everything is free, you don't need to pay, and by subscribing you make this channel grow and flourish even more, which makes me happy so I can create more content for you to watch. So, Specter of the Colossal Dragon Breakout map. Rather than telling you what is this stage about and all of that sort of stuff, I'm just going to tell you the combination of cookies, pets, and treasure that I use for this particular run, and the tricks that I'm about to use for this particular run. So first of all, we got Dreamweaver cookie here, and yes, I've changed pretty much everything from the previous combination which I used in the previous video on this particular breakout map, and yeah, new cookies, new tricks, and so on and so on. Now we begin the run with Dreamweaver cookie, which is completely different compared to the previous video in this breakout map. I'm using Tangerine Tanghulu cookie at that time. Anyway, here comes a trick, the first one out of so many throughout this video. And yeah, so basically I have to die at the right spot. So I have to make sure that Dreamweaver cookie dies before obtaining the health potion, and there you go, that's perfect. So basically, if I did not die and get that potion, I basically ended up on the wrong spot to quit Dreamweaver cookie's run and move on into the next cookie. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I'm going to show you why that is quite important in just a second. But now here comes the bonus time. I love this bonus time, although the only thing that I don't like is you can get hit in here and losing the time in the bonus time, which is quite unfortunate. Which will be quite unfortunate if I manage to get hit by even just one obstacle. So yeah, avoid hitting obstacles at all costs in this bonus time, or I have to restart the run from the very beginning. So now I'm just going to do the bonus time normally because the scary part of this bonus time has passed. Also, I do have enough health for Dreamweaver to do the final skill, but that final skill is a bit tricky, as I will show you in just a moment. But for now, I'm just going to collect all the jellies here, as many as I can. And I need to watch on Dreamweaver cookie's health right here, because if I get the wrong move, then the trick isn't going to work because Dreamweaver ran out of HP. So there you go. So here comes the tricky part in Dreamweaver cookie's run, the place where I have to stop and quit the run. Now I have to pay really close attention to where the skill ends, and now here's the trick. Okay, I have to pause in here because I need to figure out where I'm supposed to die, so I need to die right there, and I have to pause again because I want to make sure that by the time Dreamweaver got the health, I have to quit the run because of the trick that I'm about to pull in the next runner. So, the second cookie, Cyborg cookie. And I'm trying to do the trick right here at the very start of the run, which is I have to delay the power up slightly, and there you go. And I do hope that this actually works, but unfortunately, as much as I tried it, it doesn't work for me for some reason. As a result, I have to get a backup strat by equipping the Wing Jelly of Resurrection. That should allow me to get the final skill for Cyborg Cookie at the end of this particular run. Ideally, the treasure set for this particular run is Thunder Drum, which is the treasure that I have to switch with the Wing Jelly of Resurrection, the UFO legendary treasure, the unidentified flying donut. There you go, I just remembered the name. And last but not least, the treasure on the left side, it is the Jolly Jack-o'-lantern. Other than that, there is nothing that I could say about this particular part of the run, simply because I've said pretty much everything based on the previous video of this particular breakout map. Anyway, I do once again apologize for this video ended up being way too long to make than what I originally intended. And some of the things that I said in this particular video may be out of date when this thing came out. And by the time I actually record this video, it's a completely different day compared to some other days. And when I record this video, the new legendary cookie, the Mystic Umbra, as I'm trying to remember the name of it. Hang on, sorry, it is not Mystic Umbra, rather it is called the Obscure Umbra cookie. And this update has just come out right now. By the time you watch this video, it is probably either 2 or 3 days old already. And I haven't played that particular cookie's trial, so yeah. But judging based on the update preview, it looks like it is a combination between Fire Spirit Cookie's skill as well as Sugar Glass for some reason. I mean, you fly around and you tap the slide button, presumably, to actually activate the skill. And when the cookie flies, the cookie's animation in flight, it's like Cyborg Cookie as well. So, and Fire Spirit as well, let's not forget about that one. So, yeah, I think Devsisters just combined those two ideas and put it into a legendary cookie, which in it of itself, by design, it's absolutely gorgeous. Oh my god. And thank god they decided not to put everything in legendary, so maybe if they did that, then everyone would just get really pissed off at it, and I could understand why. Anyway, back to the run itself. Now, ideally, I should be able to do a Hail Mary jump here, but sadly that's not to be the case because every time I tried it, it just fails to me. So this is the reason why I have to equip with the Wing Jelly of Resurrection, just to be on the correct spot where Cyborg Cookie needs to run out of HP before moving on into the next runner. And there you go, that's actually the correct spot where Cyborg Cookie needs to run out of HP. Anyway, let's move on into the next cookie. And that is going to be the adorable Dragon Eye cookie. Well, at least adorable in my opinion. And now, Dragon Eye cookie. And yeah, this cookie is adorable both in the original and the super epic costume. It's so adorable. If Devsisters wanted to create a doll for this cookie, I will instantly buy it, no question asked. Anyway, back to the run itself. I remember that when this stage came out, we all used Yeot cookie as well as Elo cookie. Even then, there are 2 tricks that you need to pay attention by playing with those 2 cookies, and with Dragon Eye cookie, there is no such thing. Anyway, let's talk about the treasure set that I'm using for this particular run. I'm using the Precise Rambutan Bow, that's the treasure on the left side. In the middle, that is the Drakeling Claw, and last but not least, the treasure on the right side, it is the Sniffly Cocoa Palm. Anyway, let's talk about this stage itself. This is the Ivory Dragon's Dark Realm. This stage reminds me of the final stage in the Wonder Crab Breakout map, which is the Secret Hermit Crab Power Plant, because at some point, like this one during the run, the stage got all dark and you have to memorize the route by taking a look at the jellies and where they are located on the map. Although this particular stage is not difficult compared to the final stage of the Wonder Crab, for those of you who already played this particular breakout map but never got the chance to play the Wonder Crab breakout map, This particular stage gives you a glimpse of the idea behind the final stage of the Wonder Crab map. Anyway, now let's move on into the next stage of this particular breakout map, which is going to be stage number 4, Violet Dragon's Medley. But first, we need to find a way to get out from this particular breakout stage, and there you go. You might think that we're about to face Longan Dragon Cookie, but no, not yet. We still have some distances before we can fight against Longan Dragon Cookie. In fact, this particular stage marks the 50% of this particular breakout map. Oh yes, by the way, did you remember when I said that there are no tricks in Dragon Ice Cookies Run? Well, I lied a bit. In this particular stage, you need to collect all the available longing jellies that you can find, because you are going to need it so Alchemist Cookie can send you potions, and that allows Dragon Eye Cookie to do Dragon Eye Cookie skill for the final time. It is around at this point in the old version of this particular breakout map that I'm using the final cookie, which is at that time Mala Sauce Cookie, and yeah, that was the hardest part in the entire run. Thankfully, in this new version, we all can avoid that ridiculous difficulty and we can travel much further with this cookie. Anyway, let's move on into the next cookie. In fact, this will be the second time that I'm going to use a dragon cookie. So, Lotus Dragon Cookie with the legendary pet Lotus Dragon Scale. I still remember the day when this particular legendary pet came out. People complain because this legendary pet somehow performed worse than the Lotus Polywalk, aka the epic pet that Lotus Dragon used to have. And this legendary pet was supposed to replace the Lotus Polywalk, and even to this day, Devsisters still hasn't fixed that issue. Although I have to admit there is one part where this legendary pet performs better compared to the Lotus Polywalk, and that is the amount of potion that you get. This pet is slightly more consistent compared to the Lotus Polywalk. In Lotus Polywalk, it can give you a better amount of potion, but it entirely depends on the amount of obstacles that you destroy. At least that is so far based on my observation about the pet, and if I'm wrong, then you can correct me in the comment section down below. Now let's talk about the treasure set that I'm using for this particular part of the run. I'm using the Budding Future, that is the treasure located on the right side. The middle one, it is the newest legendary treasure, it is the Spear of Greater Cataclysm. And last but not least, the treasure on the left side, it is none other than the automatic type Rider. Now I have to say something about the bonus time on this particular breakout map. They are by far the longest that I've ever experienced, discounting the custom run mode. I mean, you can technically, with the right setting, start the run and spend most of the time during the run in the bonus time. And as much as I love the bonus time on this particular breakout map, there is one massive problem. Like I've said in the previous video on this particular breakout map, you can actually take a hit and it will not be fun because it reduces the time in the bonus time, which is not the thing that you wanted, because you do not want to have an accident in the bonus time because you will get a lot less points. But yeah, I would like to hear your opinion about this bonus time on this particular breakout map. Did you like it, or did you dislike it for the same reason as I did? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now then, let's move on into the next part of this breakout map, which is going to be Stage 5, Ivory Dragon's Pale Expanse. So here we go into the Ivory Dragon's Pale Expanse. This is where the final stage took place, at least in the previous version of this particular breakout map. and major spoiler for the story with the help of Lychee Dragon Cookie, which managed to be betrayed by Longan Dragon Cookie despite Lychee Dragon Cookie is being, well, basically Longan Dragon's only subordinate at this point. Yeah, Lychee Dragon Cookie managed to help us out from this spell expanse, and that's where we go into the main meat of this video. And that's the biggest hurdle while I'm making this video. It's not about the run itself, it's about, well, just like I said at the start of this video, the stuff that I'm supposed to say in this video has already been said in the previous video. And for those of you who are wondering what is the alternative for Lotus Dragon Cookie in this part of the run, especially this cookie is a legendary cookie, and we all know legendary cookies are very difficult to grind. So the alternative is, believe it or not, the long time meta of Breakout mode, Sugar Glass Cookie. Yes, I know. Despite all these years of the veteran doesn't use Sugar Glass anymore, yeah, she's still very good in Breakout, especially for the new players out there. And speaking of Sugar Glass Cookie, I do wish that one day she will become playable alongside Amber Sugar Cookie, and I really do hope that those two cookies ended up on the same update being playable. And I also wish that not only she is playable in CookieRun Kingdom but also in the Tower of Adventures as well. I have no idea when Sugar Glass Cookie is going to be a playable cookie in CookieRun Kingdom, considering that CookieRun Kingdom players have to wait 4 years to get the Citrus Squad into the game. Anyway, let's move on into the next cookie. So, Raspberry Mousse Cookie. This is one of those cookies that if you know where to input this cookie skill, you can get a lot of points. You can even get more points than I did in this run. But getting that high score, that is much easier said than done. Just to give you an idea just how big the difference between my score in this particular run compared to the top 1% players, I was off by 15 million points. By the end of this run, I know that sounds a lot, and it is a lot, but that's the difference between a run that is optimized and the one that is not optimized. And for those of you who are wondering, are there any difference between the treasure set between what I use compared to the top 1% Alzeroy? Well, the simple answer is no. I use the exact same treasure set as those top 1 players are. I'm using the Saber of Virtue, that is the treasure located on the right side. The middle treasure, it is called the Perfect Treasure Map. And last but not least, the treasure on the left side, it is none other than Star Candy Globe. Fun fact about this particular stage, it is actually possible to quote-unquote beat Longan Dragon Cookie by collecting a coin magic jelly. You know, the buff that transforms every single obstacles in the area into coins. Now finally, at last, the main meat of this video, as we are being transported away from the Pale Expanse with the help from Lychee Dragon Cookie, and finally the cookies can escape from Ivory Dragon's Pale Expanse. There you go. This brand new part of the map, it is called the Battle of Resolve. So, do you remember when I said that Sugar Tiara has the biggest difficulty gap out of all the Breakout maps in this game? Well, this particular part of the map snatched that away in the most convincing fashion. Well, you will see why in just a bit. But for now, this stage reminds me of the second to last stage in the Sugar Tiara Breakout map. You will see why I make that assumption based on my observation about this particular stage, especially towards the end of this particular stage. I mean, there are already lots and lots of elevation changes, just like in the second to last stage of Sugar Tiara. What was it called? Oh yes, the passage to Sugar Tiara. And for those of you who are wondering why I haven't got the super epic costume for Raspberry Mousse Cookie, Well, the answer is quite simple. I just don't have the intention to obtain the super epic costume. Maybe one day I will accidentally got it from the gacha, but until then I didn't have the intention to get that particular costume. Even though I have to admit that design is actually kinda rad. And speaking of raspberry mousse cookie, I also do wish that just like sugar glass cookie, this cookie will be playable at some point in CookieRun Kingdom, or at least in the Tower of Adventures, because CookieRun Kingdom has already got raspberry cookie. Ooh, I missed quite a lot of rainbow bear jellies there, that's quite bad. Anyway, in the end, I managed to get around 615 million points, whereas the top 1% managed to get around 630 million points. Anyway, it's now time to move on into the next cookie. I bet you did not expect this one, do you? Yes, I'm using Longan Dragon cookie. I'm using a cookie that is, according to the lore sent by Devsisters in one of their short videos, is 380 kilometers long. That is bigger than the city of Paris. Well, we don't know if that is true or not. That's because that estimation is based on one of the person who commented on that short video. That's because Devsisters played the meme of Americans will use everything but the metric system to measure everything. Oh yes, just want to put a disclaimer out there. My Longan Dragon Cookies Magic Candy is still at level 2 when I made this particular run. That's because I spent pretty much all of my resources leveling up the Lychee Dragon Cookies Magic Candy. In fact, by the time you watch this video, it is most likely that I've maxed out Lychee Dragon Cookies Magic Candy. Now then, let's talk about the treasure set that I'm using for this particular run. I'm using the frozen piece of cake, that is the treasure on the left side. In the middle, I'm using the Lollipop's cake. And last but not least, I'm using the picking treasure chest, that is the treasure on the right side. The reason why I use this particular combination, it is because I wanted to reach a specific part of the map, and the only way I could reach that specific part of the map is to have both the Lollipop Skate and the Picking Treasure Chest equipped. Otherwise, I will not be able to reach that specific point. And even then, there is still a chance that I still could not make into the specific part of the map that I wanted to reach. Is it at this point, when I played this particular Breakout map for the first time, I realized that this stage, the Colossal Dragon's Roar, reminds me of the final stage in the Dragon's Battlefield Breakout map, the throne protected by 8 orbs. And my god, this stage is hard. It is not so bad when the background is normal, kind of like what you see right now, but when the background turns purple though, whoo, I do believe that this is the hardest map in the entire Breakout mode in this game. And I thought that Creepy Kitchen and the throne protected by 8 orbs was already hard enough. And remember, there is one final stage in this particular Breakout map that I haven't explored yet, so I was actually quite terrified just how difficult it would be. Considering that in the update teaser for this particular Breakout map, they teased that we will fight Longan Dragon Cookie in the Colossal Dragon form. In fact, I wasn't prepared for the hell that was about to come in this particular Breakout run. Anyway, this is the tricky bit, and there you go, I managed to grab the potion there. If I haven't got the potion, I would have landed on the wrong spot and I haven't reached the specific spot that I wanted. So grabbing that potion is extremely important, and there you go, I finally managed to arrive at the correct spot. So, the 7th cookie, whipped cream cookie, and I've suddenly realized that I've already entered the rainbow rank, so I'm now at the top 100 of the leaderboard. So let's see how far I could get with this particular run, especially with the next and final stage in this particular Breakout map that puts Escape from the Oven's creepy kitchen into shame in terms of difficulty. So here we go into the final part of this map, Colossal Dragon Confrontation. And when I played this map for the first time, I thought that Devsisters cannot make a breakout stage even more difficult than the creepy kitchen, which is one of the most infamous stages in this game. And boy, was I proven wrong. Can you imagine this map on the Grand Champions League as if the main round 2 of the current season, well, at least in the Lime season, wasn't difficult enough, because that map was the collection of the final breakout maps, and one of them was Creepy Kitchen, and we all know how awkward the hitboxes in the Creepy Kitchen. And this map, wow, I could never imagine that Devsisters actually make a harder breakout map than Escape from the Oven. And yes, they did. They finally did it. I have to admit, now this is the hardest breakout map in the entire game. If you were being able to go back in time and tell me that Devsisters will make a harder map than Escape from the Oven even 2-3 years ago, I would probably laugh at you, because that's just not possible unless if that was a Grand Champions League map, unless if that was for the final round, which I could sort of accept. I mean, when Grand Champions League goes into final, there are only, I don't know, 8 people left who compete for the overall win, which means that by the time the community managed to enter that final stage, everyone in the community have been eliminated already. But yeah, to keep it short, who knew that the way to make a map more difficult than Creepy Kitchen is to literally adopt another game mode and put it into the breakout mode. Oh yes, I do want to mention that this map will continue on forever, and the only way that the player could stop it is to beat Longan Dragon itself. And if you thought that this map wasn't hard enough already, then I will show you what will happen if Longan Dragon Cookie's health is reduced below 50%. Just watch the background while Whipped Cream Cookie's skill is activated here. Would you take a look at that? Purple Longan Dragon. Oh my god, this stage has gone twice as hard, and I thought this stage is hard enough already. Oh my god. Oh boy, this is gonna be tough. We need a different cookie because Whipped Cream Cookie here has run out of HP. Now let's move on into the next cookie. So, Lollipop Cookie. Do you expect this cookie to be used? Don't you? Yeah, believe it or not, we still use Lollipop Cookie, although it is not with her combination pet. I'm using a pet that is known as Magma Bird. This is a legendary pet that was released during Season 3. That was a long time ago. In fact, this is one of the pets that you can buy in the now not continuing Breakout shop. Anyone still remember that game mechanic? Because I still do. So, for those of you who are new to this game and have no idea what I'm talking about, so the Breakout shop was, well, a shop that you can use to level up legendary cookies and pets as well. And playing Breakout once every week, usually that's enough for a player to level up a legendary cookie, or they can choose to level up the legendary pet. This was also the only place in the entire game where you can get Pirate Cookie's Sea Overload epic costume. Now with that Breakout shop gone, the only place to get that particular costume is to use the vintage gacha. And let me tell you, do not ever use the vintage gacha feature because it is just a scam. So why it is a scam? Well, simply because the enormous amount of gold gems and legendary gems that is needed to actually do the gacha in the first place. I mean, 3 legendary gems? I'm sorry, but it is just absolutely ridiculous. it is not worth the price that you get. And would you take a look at that? Longan Dragon at last defeated. And if you beat Longan Dragon Cookie for the first time, you get an amazing cutscene. And they added voice acting in that cutscene as well, which is something that is only happened like twice in the entire existence of this game. That fact is there to tell you just how special that moment is. And if you want to watch that specific cutscene, you can watch it in the official CookieRun YouTube channel by clicking this specific video. Oh, what is this? I thought that the stage is done. So apparently, once you beat Longan Dragon, there is another special stage. I didn't get this memo, by the way. And in my observation, oh, that's actually pretty tricky. This reminds me of the final map from Escape from the Oven, which is Creepy Kitchen. I didn't imagine that this is the actual final stage. And I thought fighting against a Longan Dragon was difficult enough already. Yeah, this is definitely not in my memo, and fun fact, you cannot fast travel into this precise location by using the map info feature in the breakout mode. If you try to do that, then the game will put you at the start of the Longan Dragon's boss fight. Now it's time to move on into the final cookie. So the final cookie, believe it or not, it's red panna cotta cookie. And to be honest, I have no idea why Devsisters decided to choose red panna cotta cookie for this one. I mean, red panna cotta cookie never made an appearance in the main story mode. I mean, if you put, let's say, starch noodle cookie or flat tofu cookie, at least those two cookies have some relevance in the main story mode. I mean, both of them are epic class cookies, and both of them help Gingerbrave and friends in the main story mode, so I don't understand why they decide not to make either of those two the final cookie for this run. I have no idea. I could understand their decision not to make a legendary cookie, especially the dragon cookies, as the final cookie for the run. I mean, I do understand that not every single player have all of the dragon cookies at max level, including the pet. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below which cookie deserves to be the final runner for this particular breakout map. So yeah, that concludes everything that I could say about this particular breakout map. And in summary, this breakout map takes the cake of being the hardest breakout map in the entire game by far. Never in 1,000 years that I could imagine that Devsisters makes a breakout map that is harder than Escape from the Oven. But here we are, and I will be surprised if Devsisters decided to introduce a brand new breakout map, considering that in the next update, which by the time you watch this video, it is only what, like a week away from the brand new update, the September update that involves a brand new legendary cookie. I would be surprised if Devsisters decided to introduce a brand new breakout map, because that will be the first time ever in this game's history when Devsisters introduced two brand new breakout maps in the same year. So let's see what the future holds. With that out of the way, I do want to mention the scheduling for the next couple of videos. So the next video, it is going to be the Blue Whale Cookies trial. And right after that, it will be the video on the Grand Champions League Lime season. Specifically, my journey through the Grand Champions League Lime season. Anyway, let's check where I ended up in the world's leaderboard. So, top 2.9%. I'm quite happy with the result. So, in the end, I ended up staying still at the top 5% of the world's leaderboards, and I'm quite happy with that result. If I remember correctly, the top 1% of players managed to score around 7 billion points in this particular breakout map. Anyway, that is the end for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do apologize if this video came out way longer than I have anticipated. Thank you so much for watching. This is Altroy Galcon signing it off, and I'll see you on the next videos. Take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.